Welcome to Nerdy Up North's first ever anime club. The Southern
Hey,
Invasion. Hey, just your two friendly anime nerds coming together to talk about a different series. Maybe each week. Who knows? This is the first one, so we can kind of say whatever we like. But until we get the second one, we won't know what the pattern is. So I thought we'd start with a bit of like introduction of like who we are and how we got into anime, because that feels
sounds
like
good.
the kind of thing that you would do in an actual anime club, like if we were at school or something. in a smelly art classroom, as someone said in the Discord the other day. So take it away. I think you should go first, Chris, because this kind of was your idea, that I
Kind of.
then just kind of piggybacked on.
Kind of. There's not many people in the Discord that like anime, so once I found someone who likes it, I just latched on and just wouldn't let go. But I'm
This is,
Chris. Oh, sorry.
I know. I was just going to say that's how most anime fans greet each other. It's just like,
Pretty much. Friend. Friend.
hello,
Strong
free
together.
hugs. Hashtag free hugs.
Oh, no. I'll...
No 4chan nonsense.
oh.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah. My name's Chris. I got into anime because... How old are you in primary school? You're like
Um,
9 or
10 and
something?
younger. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. My friend used to import um Dragon Ball Z tapes from Japan,
Ooh,
and I used to watch them with him, and I was like, oh, this is kind of good. This like really muscly men shouting at the screen. It was in Japanese, so I couldn't understand it. There's no
I love
subtitles
that.
in.
Yeah. Do you know? So Dragon Ball Z was also my entry point anime. I used to
Yeah,
watch it with my brother and my sib, and on Cartoon Network and they used to have like a Toonami hour of
yeah.
like different anime, and it was Dragon Ball Z, and I can remember being obsessed with Krillin. I just really loved Krillin. He was like my favorite character.
The little baldy one.
The little baldy one who just like dies like 12 times. Just like always dying or near death.
Oh well, actually, when
Um,
this comes out, we'll have done Krillin on Top Grumps. So
oh, will you?
yeah,
Are you going to do Krillin on Top Grumps? Oh, I
yeah.
love that.
Well, Lee's proper
Um,
into his Dragon Ball
Yeah,
anything, so
yeah. I've been watching Lee's Dragon Ball series and really enjoying it. It's giving me like deep pangs of nostalgia.
yeah.
Um, and his summary of of this each series is really good. So this is now a free plug for Lee.
Yeah,
um,
I definitely want to watch some old animes that kind of like got us into it. I mean,
yeah, I'm into
it
that.
it doesn't hold up now, but it's can you remember Boomerang on Cartoon Network, which was on
I
at
do
about
remember Boomerang. Boomerang.
yeah, and there
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that weird alien robot thing that used to come on as well. But anyway,
Anyway.
I used to do the segues and that. Because Cowboy Bebop was playing, and then if you stayed up a little bit
Yeah.
later, the Tenchi Muyo used to come on, which
I
I know
remember
that's
watching that. Definitely doesn't hold up to modern standards, but
no,
I also watched Tenchi Muyo on Boomerang.
yeah,
And the other ones that I used to really love was Outlaw Star, which is on our list of ones which I don't think you've
yeah,
seen, but that was
I
another
haven't.
kind of late night, and I am worried it's not going to hold up either. And then Escaflowne is the other one that I loved, and Cardcaptor Sakura as well. When I was a little girl, I was like, what could be better than having like cards with cool art that come to life and fight monsters for you? That was
Oh,
like, oh, and you could do it all dressed in a cute pink outfit that your best friends made you.
I think I watched like the opposite end of the spectrum to you. I was like,
Yeah,
Trigun, Cowboy Bebop,
yeah.
and then do you know? Can you remember in HMV when they used to have that anime section? I don't know if they still do now because
Yeah,
who goes into HMV? Um, they had like I saw one
young
of
goth.
them, and I had my friend's sister with us who was over 18. I was like, I've got a free pass to buy whatever I want here. So from the
Yeah,
cover, I picked an anime film called Yuritsuka Doji, and that was a horrible thing. It's a horror erotic thing. Um, yeah, So
Too much for young Chris.
trial by fire as a 12-year-old.
Yeah. I used to pick up a lot of like vampire animes from HMV, like
Vampire
Blood.
Hunter D.
Vampire Hunter D. I loved
Yeah,
Vampire Hunter D.
he's talking
And
hand.
yeah, and Helsing was the other one.
Yeah,
Also magic, like with the gloves. There's a lot of hand
yeah.
stuff.
A lot of hand
There's
stuff in anime.
a lot of hand stuff going on in anime.
Oh, yeah,
Take
because
that
then
as you will.
most people move on to Naruto, and that's hand stuff as well, isn't it? Where they do the ninja
That's also
things.
hand
Yep,
stuff.
Macarena.
YMCA.
What anime is that from?
Um,
JoJo's
it's
Bizarre Adventure.
yeah, definitely. Space Dandy.
But yeah,
Um,
it just evolved from there. Yourself?
yeah. Same. And now we're two grown adults talking about cartoons, Japanese cartoons,
Yeah,
at Anime Club. And we've decided what we wanted to do was to do like a more positive. So the whole idea is not to be like meh, 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 or give loads of facts, but just to kind of talk about some of the stuff that we really enjoy and love about anime. So we decided to start with one that we both have watched recently and really enjoyed, which is
yeah.
Delicious in Dungeon.
Hey, if you couldn't tell from
Yeah,
the middle,
yeah, from the beautiful frame that Chris has made. Delicious in
definitely not too
Dungeon,
busy.
not too busy at all. Chris, you're not doing it. Do it. So, Chris, why are we here in our pajamas?
Well, I'm not in my pajamas, but we actually got too
Okay.
excited recording this and forgot to put what the series is actually about.
I think we did a really good job talking about what we loved, but yeah, didn't describe what the series is about at all. So let's take two.
Yeah, and we need to address it because otherwise there'd be just a weird jump cut.
There would be a weird jump cut
But
of
now
us
it's
just suddenly
explained.
going. So now what it is.
What's this series actually about, Phoebe?
Oh, that was a very natural question, Chris. Let me answer with equal equal organic conversation.
Thank you,
Um,
Phoebe.
so Delicious in Dungeons is about we join the series at the beginning about a group of adventurers, and Laios, who is the kind of tall man knight figure, has just lost his sister and fellow adventurers to a dragon. A dragon's eaten her. And what he wants to do is to go back into the dungeon. But in order to get down to the level of the dungeon where his sister is held, they can't carry enough rations. They don't have any money. They can't carry enough rations to get back to her. So
Because he
along the
lives.
way, as well as picking up a few unlikely companions, um, oh, they also start eating the monsters in the dungeon. Hence, Delicious in Dungeon. Um, and the meals get more and more delicious as they go down, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Senchi, who is the kind of dwarf figure, are they not called? Are they called dwarfs in this? I don't think they are. Anyway,
Um, you'll not mind. It's alright. It's not like a slur or anything.
he'll not mind. Um, so he begins to teach them like the ways of the dungeon as they go down, and slowly you kind of uncover the ecosystem, and how this environment all interacts with each other and all the different parts that each of us play. Um, how's that? Was that supernatural?
It was amazing. Were you
No
reading
one's ever going
the
to notice.
wiki?
No, no one's ever going to notice that we spliced this in. I think we'll get away with it.
I'm leaving all of this in, by the way.
Yeah. I was fully expecting you to. And no, I wasn't reading the wiki. I was paying attention to watching the anime.
But anyway, thanks for that, Phoebe. In
You're
our
welcome.
pajamas. Back to the show.
Back to our previous scheduled programming.
Hey.
And I was like, one of my first questions, Chris, was if you were going to pitch this to a friend who'd never seen an anime before, and you were going to try and give them like your best, like, here's a summary that will make you want to watch it, how would you describe Delicious in Dungeon for our audience?
See, if I was talking to someone who had no interest in anime and it was one of me, I was going to say normal friends, but I don't have normal friends. I would say it's like watching a series where Bear Grylls leads a Dungeons and Dragons party.
That's actually a really good description. Yeah, Senchi's Bear Grylls, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a really good description. Yeah, because I was thinking it kind of captures the kind of chaos of Delicious in Dungeon, but the intense sensuality of Nigella Lawson. Because in this series they make the food look so good
Have you
that it makes me hungry every time I watch it.
have you seen the videos on YouTube where people make the recipes?
Oh, I love that. I
Obviously,
haven't
they
seen them, but
substitute the monsters.
yeah. Now I am going to be watching. I know what I'm watching in bed later. Just people making anime food real.
Oh, I would love that because in some animes the food looks amazing.
Yeah, it really does. And there's something so like for me, one of the reasons I love anime is because it does stuff that live action can't do. Um, so you have like moments in this where people, they're walking on water and fighting kelpies and stuff.
Yeah,
But one of the things that it also manages to do is to make food look so like it kind of taps into some sort of bit of your brain, like your hunger center. They make it look in a way kind of very real, very delicious. Aptly named.
food porn.
It is this is like fantasy food porn.
Yeah, I mean,
Is what this is.
I'm not even sure that I like shellfish that much, like crab and lobster and stuff like that. But I like the look of it.
Yeah.
Like even do you know the first episode where they make the scorpion and mushroom thing?
Looks delicious.
Um, yeah, but like if I had actually had it in front of us and like had it in a forkful, I'd probably think it was a bit minging.
Mm. I would probably. Oh, actually, no. I'm kind of into seafood, but some of the stuff, and actually, you've put here this meal,
Yeah,
which was one of our favorites. Because the other thing that we talked about before, which I really love about this series, is the monster lore. Like you find out about the different monsters that live in the kind of dungeon ecosystem as
yeah.
they're being chopped up and served to you in a delicious, tasty meal. And one of the ones that we both really liked were the dungeon bugs episode, where they're like treasure bugs
Yeah.
that you think is treasure, and then they come to life and basically just kill you. I think
Yeah, they
put you,
paralyze you so the
they
dungeon can
paralyze you.
reclaim you.
Can reclaim your body. All very natural, all very
Circle of
eco-friendly.
life.
Circle of life. Who would you say is your favourite character though? Because there's some great ones in this to choose from.
Right.
Who are you rooting for from the start?
Um, it's a tie, right? So I've got two that I really like. There's obviously I love the Labrador characters, so
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm gonna go for Laos, and then me tied favorite is Chilchuck, only because right,
Oh,
I like the roguey characters, I like the
mm,
small kings, and I kind of like his pessimistic view
yeah.
to equal out the Labrador view.
He's very cynical, and coming from such a cute, innocent face, there's something quite funny about that kind of like deep cynicism
Yeah.
and world weariness coming from
Mm.
someone who looks almost childlike. Yeah.
How
That's a
about yourself?
great choices. I'm all about Senshi. I think he's he's amazing. He's got that kind of like old sage thing. He's also a bit Labradory, as in he's just like there making the most out of everything.
Yeah.
But he has that like kind of old fashioned Mr. Magoo quality where he kind of like walks through like the trap room and
Yeah.
just like magically all the traps kind of brush by him. Well, and because Chilchuck saves him multiple times.
How did he
Um,
survive before?
I know, you do wonder. But I also love that he's kind of got this deep love for the dungeon itself. So where everyone else is like being very extractive and going in to loot treasure rooms and even loot other adventurers, Senshi's there trying to like protect and like he's like the nature guardian druid
Yeah.
dwarf. And I also love that he's got this pan, which you can see in the picture. Which way am I pointing? That way. That way. In the middle there. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see his pan, which is made of like I forget what they call it now. But it's like the dwarven kind of
Yeah.
alloy, like the equivalent to whatever mithril is.
Metal, I
Um,
think.
it's like some real fancy metal, and
Yeah.
everyone else is using that metal to turn it into like weapons and armor, and he's turned it into a frying pan. I kind
Yeah.
of there's a yeah there's like a there's a deep I don't know, there's something resonates with me with Senshi of like, oh, if you're gonna do like, let's feed people. Let's feed people and ourselves, and let's do it in a way that doesn't fuck everything up. I kind of love
Are,
that. Very
we,
simple.
are we going through spoilers on this? Would you
Oh,
say?
I think we can do spoilers. This is your
Right.
spoiler alert. Alert. Your spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it, you're about to be spoiled. Now you can go say whatever you like.
Oh, right. So I thought I like Senchi because he looked at whereas the rest of the party looked at it as if it's a dungeon, as if you're a DMD party going in. You're basically
Mm,
gonna loot it, get your money, get your treasure, and then come out. And he looked at it like a home because he'd been there that
yeah.
long. And then I
Yeah.
always thought you didn't find out till the end with him starving with his mining party how they nearly starved. So I thought that's why he thought it was so important to feed everyone, and it's
Yeah.
got like a weird theme running through it, where it's just like eat 3 meals a day and get decent amount of sleep, and you can do anything, kind of thing. Which I think's important, but no one does really, do
No, but really handy as a parent if
they?
you're wanting to like subconsciously feed good habits to children. Um, but you also hit upon something else that I really love about this series, and in particular the characters, which is even the happiest characters. At first, you think, oh, these are just like very two-dimensional, the kind of comic
Yeah,
characters. They're just going in and then like munching on monsters. They actually throughout the series kind of drip feed you bits of like really quite sad, quite deep stories about the character. Like they take time to develop them, and
yeah,
then by the end of the series, you're like, oh my god, I need to know what happens to this person because now I love them and I know what they've struggled through.
yeah.
Because I was
Should we?
like that with Marcella. I was like, oh, she's so annoying. But then as
Yeah.
I learned her story, I was like, oh my god, Marcella, we have to protect her at all costs.
What hairstyle have you got this episode?
Yeah. I quite like that they change up. No
Yeah,
one wears their hair the same way every day.
speak for yourself.
Yeah. Oh, so moving on. Did
Oh
you have favorite meal, favorite monster, and those might be the same thing. They might be slightly different things.
no. Basically, my favorite meal is above you right now. It
Yeah.
is the treasure bug snacks they're called. I don't know if they're sweet. I don't know if they're savoury, but I would eat every last one of them. And
Do you think they're sweet or savoury? What do you think in your imagination of the perfect experience of eating
sweet,
that
I
meal?
think. So
Mm,
the
me too,
coins, I instantly think of chocolate coins.
obviously.
Um, and do you know the jar of like gems and stuff? I thought they were the gems off the ring pops you used to get.
Oh, just like there's someone's just like popped off the top bit.
Yeah, because that was the
Yeah,
worst part, eating the plastic anyway. I don't know about the buns. I wouldn't
really
have a.
feel it the next day.
Yeah, good roughage though.
I think the bun looks a bit like a golden syrup pudding. You know, like that your
Ah,
mum would like boil in a bag and then shove on a plate. No,
we don't have sweet
like
things
like
up north.
like a suet pudding or something. Don't have sweet things up north, but also we're
Oh no.
not from the Victorian period. You weren't raised on that blitz spirit.
No, not quite.
Not quite.
I had microchips.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it's a good meal. It's a
and
good choice.
what was it? Your favorite monster? Right.
Favorite
So,
monster.
for monsters, do you class characters as monsters too?
Ooh, good question.
Hmm.
I do, and I think even the humanoids, because like sometimes the greatest monsters of all are men.
I think I might be too deep for this.
I also was trying to say that in like a really chipper way, but it's like actually quite a bleak thought.
Man's inhumanity.
Yeah, yeah. That was the real monster of all. was was man's greed.
Well, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, right. So I prepared two answers because I thought
Oh, I love that.
you might say no. So of the characters, I've put the orcs because
Oh,
I really love the spin on them, where they're the victim
mm,
of the tall men who are normal humans in this, and they were driven back into the dungeon and deeper, because they had to raid the villages for food because
yeah,
they're
yeah.
kind of like they eat normal food like bread and meat and stuff like that,
Bread,
except they're big
bread,
and hairy.
bread.
Bread, bread,
Yeah,
bread.
and they
Yep,
are
bread.
very fuzzy in this, which I quite love. Yeah, bread,
Yeah,
bread, bread. Oh, that way, bread, bread, bread. Um, they are quite fuzzy, which I quite like. I will say they are like people see them as monsters, whether that makes them monsters or not. I think I'll allow that as an answer. What was your backup answer?
the mimic crab. I really like that
Nice.
episode with the
Yeah,
Chilchuck being poop scared of them.
yeah, yeah. That's a lovely episode of Chilchuck lore as well,
Yeah,
because you kind of learn about like how many times he's kind of gotten himself into trouble in the dungeon, specifically with mimics.
yeah.
Um, yeah, no, that is a good. Those are two great monsters. What do you like about the crab?
So whenever I think of a mimic, I think of the
Like the Dungeons and
uh,
Dragons one. Like a
kind of just a treasure chest with like a
yeah,
shadow
yeah,
and maybe a mouth coming out, and I kind of like it being not personified but creaturenified, monsterified.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
I
Into a
really like.
thing.
Yeah, I really liked it, and the idea that it's like almost like a hermit crab that takes something in the dungeon and then kind of moves in.
Yeah,
Um,
because
yeah,
I've noticed a lot of things in this have like a logical, well, kind of logical explanation. Whereas if you think of other things in like Dungeons and Dragons, it'd be like, magic in it, just
yeah, yeah.
happens.
Why? Because magic. Whereas in this, it's like why? Because it's an ecosystem, and
Yeah,
everything's based on like this is its natural environment that it is inhabiting, so therefore it will do this.
yeah. Even
Yeah,
the mimics and stuff like that. Do you know
yeah,
when they have the predatory thing where they turn into a weird version of yourself, they get shunned, so their pack chucks them out basically. Then they die alone, and then they
yeah.
grow more.
And I also love the thing about the treasure. Going back to the treasure bugs, where
Hmm.
you find out that the treasure bugs are prey on mimics. So they kind of move in as like an infestation and eat the mimic inside the treasure chest, and then they exist in the treasure chest waiting for an adventure to then move them to their next mimic.
Yeah,
I love it. It's so clever.
but what
um,
about you?
oh, so I really liked the Undine episode, which is like the ball of angry water spirit energy
Oh yes, yes, yes.
that Marcella has to like figure out how to get boil down so that she can drink it to get her mana back.
Yeah,
Because I just thought it was is a different way of doing a ghost, because they have like normal ghosts in this, but then they have this like really angry kind of spirit that's been pissed off, and you have the
yeah,
gnomes come along. It's a good episode. It's a whole like it's a good episode, and you have the gnomes who are like, well, we've always had a good relationship with them, and then like immediately get nerfed.
To be fair, if you were a creature in that dungeon and you had parties of adventurers coming out, you would be pissed off.
100% you'd be pissed off.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. I also really like the exorcism. So I like the ghosts in general. I think ghosts are among my favorite kind of monsters.
Mm.
In terms of my favorite meal, it would be this, which is the exorcism like parfait thing,
Yeah.
sorbet, because it just looks so. I can imagine it being really sharp and sour and just nice and cold, refreshing.
What's it? Would you say lemon, blueberry,
Yeah, like tart,
some?
like a sour raspberry, maybe.
Mm,
Mm, bit of maybe, yeah.
I'm hungry now.
I know, this is what I'm saying. This show will make you hungry. And that would be my advice to anyone who wants to try watching it on Netflix is to make sure you have snacks to hand.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you're gonna get hungry. Um, what were some of the kind of like? Did you have like a favorite episode? Any like highlights outside of obviously the Chill Chuck mimic and the treasure bug?
Well, I I really like the finding the lore out moments. I mean, I did like the cooking part. You know, it goes step by step how they slaughter this animal and or a creature and cook it. But I like the parts where you find out. It was just dialogue between them where you just drop little hints. They don't make a big deal of it. Like
Mm.
when you find out that Chilchuk has a wife and kids, and he's just like, ah,
Yeah,
for some personal reasons, I haven't seen them in a bit though. All right,
yeah.
we'll move on.
And you find out that he's like 50, and so like they only live
Yeah,
until they're 50, the Halfoots. So he's basically middle aged because he's
yeah,
21.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the when you found out the Gollum ecosystem as well.
yeah. Oh, that's a good episode with the farming, the
Yeah.
vegetables off the. Yeah, yeah. That's a really good episode.
What about yourself?
I really like that. I really like the kind of Mad Mage storyline and the way that they built that like really slowly. And I watched this a while back when it was first like coming out weekly.
Yeah.
And then when we said that we were going to do this, when we said, "Oh, let's do Delicious in Dungeon," I went back and rewatched some of it and didn't realize how early on they actually start dropping hints about the Mad Mage. And I thought it's
Yeah.
actually, and what it made me realize is this is a really thoughtful. It's really thoughtfully written, and kind of you can watch it more than once because it kind of rewards you for like knowing a bit more each time.
Yeah.
um, which I really loved. And I also love the lore dropping. And there's something about, I was thinking about this at the weekend, because I obviously went home to see my dad at the weekend, and you have like the big family dinner and everything. And it made me realize how often, and it'd be the same if I go to my mum's, how often you have like the big talks happen around a dinner table. And I think
Hmm.
in this, you have like key moments and key bits of information happen while they're eating the meal. So, as like a storytelling device, it's really a natural way to do that kind of information dumping that
Yeah.
you need in a fantasy kind of environment in order to bring the audience up to speed about what's going on in the world. Yeah, I love that. Sorry, I cut you off as you were about to say a thing.
No, it's fine. I was cutting you off. I was just going to mention, do you know, when you're on about the law dropping, how
Yeah,
I think it's in the first until this. I can't remember how many levels of the dungeon, but everything's like got lion insignias everywhere. And it kind of subtly
yeah,
drops hints, and then you're like, if you watch it the second time, you're like, oh yeah, that was there, or this has happened, or you know, I really really like it because I thought this was a. I got to episode 18 and then I
yeah,
dropped it off mainly because of life, not because I didn't like it. But I found it was a really slow burn until
yeah.
the end where it hit its stride, and then it was like, bam, right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wait for
those
season
last
two.
couple of episodes, it's like, and then you're like, no, we were just getting big bits of story.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and even in like the Kensuke, which is the sword
Mhm.
that you've helpfully got above your head. Uh,
Hey.
let me hey, which like even that has a lion on it, and Laius is carrying that from like episode one.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, and you're like, oh, it's literally, you're kind of like you're marking that character for that later interaction right there. Yeah, it's very fun, very very fun, and the
what
painting.
was
I love
with
the
that?
painting episodes as well. Huh?
What was with the sword turning into like a skull thing when it goes into the mushrooms? I d what was with that?
I think that's we'll find out in season 2. But it is
Please.
like I think there's that kind of so I think this is where we get into like the fan theory kind of stuff. You have the
Hmm.
idea of the dungeon as an ecosystem, and Senshi throughout is kind of talking about how it's the ecosystem is somehow like decaying. So you know, with the golems, there are like only a couple of golems left, and there were once like many many.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and how some of the monsters are like moving up levels because they're running out of food, and other monsters are dying off so they can then take their place. So I think there's something about that sword being kind of representative of that kind of, yeah, whatever's to come, the reckoning around the dungeon. Um,
Yeah, I've
yeah.
seen a couple where it's just like, oh well, it turned into a skull because it showed its true face or something like that, and
Oh,
that actually was disguised as the lion with the wings, and I'm like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have because I'm not a manga reader, I haven't read ahead or anything like that. I've just that's based purely on what I've seen in comments and videos and stuff,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't know if it's true. I kind of don't want to know until it tells us.
Yeah, I've also not read ahead, but it's because I've been enjoying the anime so much that I'm like, oh, I don't want to spoil it. But I think the manga is finished, which gives me hope
Right.
that because I sometimes think when the mangas are finished, sometimes the anime overtakes them, and you end up with like a bit of a Game of Thrones symptom thing where like
Like Full Metal
screenwriters
Alchemist.
a bit like Full
Yeah.
Metal Alchemist, where you kind of like the original story kind of gets a bit lost because you start having other people
Yeah.
input into like the vision, and that's okay. It's different to how it would be.
That's
Whereas with
normally when you
something
get
like
the beach filler episode.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Whereas with this, because it's finished, we should get like a nicely contained story, I think. So there won't be like hundreds of thousands of episodes. We'll be able to just tell the story of it, um, and then come to a nice conclusion. That's my hope for subsequent seasons. But who knows how long they'll drag it out for? Because I'm sure like half of this is just cooking, and it
Yeah.
shouldn't be as watchable as it is, but it is really watchable. Yeah.
I found myself watching, going into it thinking, I'll just chuck this on in the background. But then it's like, actually, I'm not playing on my phone. I'm not doing this while I'm watching it.
Oh,
And
I
I'll
just
be,
want to watch. I just want to watch the sizzle as things hit the pan.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very soothing. Yeah,
And then
yeah. So
you look at a creature and be like, I wonder what that looks like on a pan, cooking
yeah,
with
yeah.
oatmeal.
I bet that'll be delicious. I do think about that when they had the Kelpie episode. Like, are they to eat a gorgeous horse? Because I bet it'd be delicious.
Ooh, yeah.
Be like kind of very rich beef, sea
I've
beef.
I've tried horse before.
Have you really? Well, I have,
Yeah.
but not on purpose. Only in the Finders.
In a lasagna.
Yeah, in an Iceland lasagna. But I also think the more intelligent and sensitive a creature, the more delicious it is. I think that's
Exactly.
true. I think that's true of pigs as well. So I reckon horses.
Stephen Hawkins would have been delicious.
So yummy.
Mm.
Oh. So one of the things that we talked about when we were doing anime was because obviously sometimes we've got whole series that we don't want to have to just to do like a half hour to an hour long kind of chat about it. So we
Yeah.
came up with like the 3 episode test, which I think was something that you'd kind of said if I can't watch it past 3 episodes, then it's not something I would recommend to other people.
Hmm.
A bit of a moot point for this because we've both watched all of it.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
would watch this past 3 episodes, and I think the question is, will you be watching season 2?
Definitely. Yep.
What's your kind of hopes for season 2? What would you like to see?
Oh, right. I've actually got it written down because I'm
Nice.
crap at remembering things. Um, Basically, I want them to. obviously progress the story. I want to see what this winged line's about, and I want him to answer loads of questions. Like,
What are your
what?
questions?
So, right, I've got three questions. Who is the lion with the wings? Is he? Oh, right. So, is he the? He wasn't the king because he turned to dust when he came out the cave, didn't he? Came out the
But
dungeon
could he be the
originally.
Mad Mage?
No, that's Nettle or whatever she's called. He's called. Sorry, very asexual.
They,
They're called.
they, yeah.
Um, yeah. So what is this lion with the wings? Because he said
Mm.
he was like a god of the dungeon or something. I remember.
Mm.
Why did the sword turn funny? And what do Chilchuck's wife and kids look like? Are the main questions I want answered.
Tell me more about Chilchuck. Enough of all this mystery.
But
I want to
like,
see. I want to see Chilchuck get home.
well, do you know that there's loads of lore around the half-foot people, right?
Yeah, they're
Um,
like little hobbit people, aren't they? I love it.
but the were used. I think they were tied on front of ships, and they were used to like
I
as
didn't know
lookout.
that.
They were used as lookout for sirens on the ships. So
Oh,
that's why they hate all the other races and they're really suspicious because they're like, I'm going to get taken advantage of here. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I could
yeah.
have that wrong, but I know there was some sort of
Kind of. There's some sort of sad slavery story attached to it.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
why he's really suspicious of everyone.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Makes
but
sense.
I didn't know that. But there's a set that's been released that has like supplementals for all the races and there's
Oh,
different things which I haven't looked at. Um,
yeah,
this is secondhand knowledge from me, just YouTube and things.
yeah, yeah. Trawling through the internet.
Yeah,
I
getting
love
some
that.
spicy flavor things to find.
I didn't know where you were going with that. I was like, what searches have you been doing?
Yeah, so if you actually want to find out more, you just type in Chillichuck Rule 34. It comes up everything.
Absolutely never. Never. I'm never typing anything you tell me to type into a web address. I've been tricked one too many times. I am Chilchuck in this scenario, suspicious of you, tall man.
I'm just happy someone's called this tall.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, my hope is I'm also for season 2. I'm also hoping for like what the fuck's the line about? I think some sort of I think there must be a relationship to the crown king because there's also the idea that uh, if you slay the final monster or something, if you conquer the final level of the dungeon, you become king.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of curious where that's going. Could we have a could we have Senshi as king? Obviously it's Laios. I mean he's been marked, but
Yeah,
you know,
the
I think there
prophecy.
might be some. Yeah, there's some prophecy stuff. But I think there might be some sort of twisty surprises in there for us. Um,
Yeah,
and there's there is that kind of whole like symbiotic relationship of who's really devouring who in this relationship with the dungeon.
who's eating
So
who?
that who's eating who here? So there's that for me as well. I'm like, what's going on with that? Because that could be
Yeah,
quite dark, and that could take us to like a kind of almost Attack on Titan levels of trauma. I feel.
yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I kind of like it when it turns dark.
Me too. Berserk, like Berserk as well is
Yeah,
very. Although that's pretty dark from the beginning. That's not a laugh a minute anime.
well, it depends on your person or not.
It does depend on your sense of humour. Yeah.
Yeah, it just I don't
If
know
you're a
when you
sick
watch that,
bugger.
it just brings you down a peg. It's just like, oh yeah, the world is shit. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah, and
if I
that's something that Delicious in Dungeon won't do because I feel like you'll go, oh, the world is shit, but there are good people who are trying their best, and I feel like that's very true of Delicious in Dungeon.
trying the
Like they've
best,
all had,
eating everything.
eating the monsters, making the most out of a bad situation. Yeah,
Yeah, true.
yeah. So optimism and cheerfulness. Um, grand. I think that's every. Have you got any kind of like last insights or kind of comments or things
Uh,
that you'd like to say?
did you see the trailer for season 2?
No, I haven't seen it yet because I was wondering if you wanted to do a live reaction, so I've been avoiding it, but I hadn't said
So,
to you. Have you
right,
watched it? Because if you've watched it, I'm just going to go watch it.
I've watched a little clip of it,
Ooh.
but that's it. But I'll leave it then
Yeah,
because
yeah, leave it.
I've
Let's
got
watch it
thoughts on it.
together.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Share your thoughts. Share your
well,
thoughts now. Go on.
I'll wait till we see it. It's all right. I'll do it
Okay,
another
we'll
time.
wait till we watch it together.
I might put it on the end of this.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I love that. Okay. Great. Well, in that case, I think that's it for our first ever anime club meeting. Thank you all for the assembly of the anime club. If
Hey,
you this is where you kind of have to do all like the plugging stuff, right? So if you liked this, please give us a comment and a subscribe to Nerdy Up North. Also, lots of other great stuff, as Kris mentioned. We've got Lee doing Dragon Ball Z. You've got Jake doing the gaming. You've got the Monster Mondays. You've got the Ladies of Wonk, the Women of Nerd Culture, and you've got Top Grumps, which is one of my
hey.
favourites, as well as the main staple podcast, of which I highly recommend. If you don't watch any other episode, just go watch the Tombstone episode because it is very, very funny and full of excellent facial hair. And then, yeah, if you enjoy that sort of stuff, come and join the Discord, join the Facebook group. Just search Nerdy Up North. I suppose we'll also put like a link in the description, like,
Yeah, put
yeah,
everything.
put
Bells and
everything
whistles and
there
that.
in the thing. Um, and then on the website, you've also got all of the cool articles and some short stories and some like other heartwarming, positive, nerdy stuff. It's a lovely community. That is just kind of very open. Like they've even let me in, and I'm so clearly not northern.
Oh, what we
So
normally
like
say is,
that has to say something for the generosity.
well, you're always like north of somewhere, technically.
That's true. I'm north of France.
Yes.
It's like literally France and the Isle of Wight. Um. So yeah, like they're a very welcoming, lovely group of people. And Kris, you can also catch doing streaming on games on Friday as well as some of the others.
Oh yeah, I do that.
You sometimes do that on Twitch. Uh, yeah. So enjoy, and we'll see you at the next anime club. I was
Yeah.
going to try and say goodbye in Japanese, and now I'm popping out.
Please don't do an accent.
I'm not absolutely not doing an accent, not while you're recording. So I'm just going to say goodbye. Bye.
Bye.